What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're anything like me, you're probably feeling overwhelmed trying to keep up with the rapid pace of new AI tools dropping every single week. And trust me, I completely get it. Every week there's another shiny new AI tool promising the world, and it's nearly impossible to figure out what's genuinely useful and what's just noise. Especially since you probably don't have the time to spend hours trying 100 new tools every week. That's exactly why I'm starting this brand new series, the Weekly AI Tool Roundup, where each week I'm going to cut through the clutter by sharing the AI tools that I personally use and trust, along with clear, practical demos on how to set them up and actually get results. No fluff, no hype, just straightforward, actionable guidance so you can decide which tools are truly worth your time or not. And to make sure I'm covering exactly what matters most to you, in one of my previous videos, which I'll link here, I created this Notion database powered by the new N8N MCP server, where my community can search and share the tools that they're interested in learning about and that they want to see in this new series. So if you're tired of being overwhelmed and you're ready to simplify your AI toolkit, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, and let's jump right into the video. So kicking it off with week 1, I'm really excited about these tools, and we're going to be going over the new Zapier MCP within N8N, and I truly believe that this will help everyone who uses N8N and make the overall experience better. And second, which is one of my favorite and most used MCPs, is the Claude MCP installer, and using the YouTube MCP within Claude Desktop. This will be able to search and summarize any YouTube link that you give it. And to round up this video, coming directly from the community is the Sequential Thinking MCP within Cursor, which I'm really a big fan of. So opening up the Zapier instructions, you'll have some links here which will bring you directly to this landing page where you can quickly click Get Started. And if you don't have a Zapier account, it's super easy to sign up and there's a free plan to get started. Zapier is the OG when it comes to automation and app connections, so if you've never used it before, they make it super easy to literally do anything. So once you're signed in and with your account, you should be able to get to this page here, and this page will give you everything you need to get started with this MCP server, and they give you the MCP endpoint and quick setup instructions. So you'll need to go ahead and copy this URL and make sure you save it for whenever we jump back over to N8N. We're going to be setting this up within N8N and enhancing all of our N8N workflows with this MCP server. So you can go ahead and click Edit MCP Actions, and this will bring you to a page similar to this, where you can add, manage, and see all your current actions. And I think this will be the true game changer for everyone who's using N8N. If you don't know Zapier, it has over 30,000 actions and over 8,000 app connections that you'll be able to use. So literally anything that you're thinking about or any apps that you already use, you'll most likely be able to connect them here. So let's go over and add a new action to really see how powerful this is. So for this quick example, I'm going to be creating a Notion page, and you see that it already gives multiple different actions for Notion itself. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create Page, and you see that my account is already connected here. However, the true power that this unlocks with Zapier and N8N is how easy Zapier makes it for connecting anything. So if I wanted to connect anew, do a few clicks and I would be connected to Notion, rather than having to create API endpoints, or some apps require personal access tokens. You can literally just click through and allow access to a certain tool or page, and it connects just like that. So an important thing to pay attention to whenever you're within this page is paying attention to the required fields and required parameters that you can pass on to this tool, and also the parameters that are not required but you can still pass on to this tool. So you can pass on title, content, icon, cover, a lot of things, but you'll need to make sure that you're paying attention to the actions that are required. So you'll see that action, the account, and parent page are the required actions. Now, since this is a simple setup with where we're only going to be using this create page action with this certain account, we will really just have to pay attention to the parent page, and this will make more sense once we get into N8N. So now that we have this set up, we can go ahead and enable action, and you'll see that it'll show up here and toggled on. So hopping over to N8N, let's go ahead and try out this tool. So we can go with the regular AI agent, where we'll set this up just like regular. Connect a chat model. I'm going to go with OpenAI, and then you'll now want to connect to your MCP client tool. So we'll go ahead and change this name to Notion List Tools, and this is where we'll need to set up our connection. So you see that I already have Zapier MCP connected here, but we'll need to create a new credential and go to Server Sent Events and delete this, and this is where you will be pasting that URL that you copied initially from the Zapier site. I'm not going to do that here because I already have mine set up. I could totally do it. I'll just close it. And now this will be really important for whatever locally hosting service that you're using, whether it's Docker, Alessio, Railway. you'll need to make sure that your config file is properly set up and your community package allowed tool usage is set to true. So for me, I'm using LSGO, and I'll need to update the config file here, and I'm going to be updating the Docker Compose. And if you've already been using the MCP client tool, you don't need to do this every time, but if you haven't run it before, you'll need to add this line here, and you'll need to update and restart. So now that we have all that set up, we'll need to open the chat and just do a simple list all available tools. And we'll see that it's calling this Notion list tool and giving us all the options for our tool usage. So you see that we have a Notion create page, edit actions, add actions, and you'll see that this description is create a page inside a parent page and the schema and showing how they're going to be passed on. So it's important to know what's in Zapier as well as having these list tools to be able to see what the parameters being passed on are. So you remember that the parent page is a required field, and you'll see how it's wanting it to be formatted here. So go ahead and hide this, and we can duplicate this to add the actual execute tools function. So once we're in here, we can change this to set manually. And this is really where the creativity and building the workflow and knowing what you're trying to do and trying to accomplish really comes into play, as with using these MCP servers, especially whenever you're going to have a lot or very intricate complex workflows and having the model define a lot of the parameters, you'll need to be very explicit with your prompting. And from my experience of using this for the short time it's been out, it will take some trial and error and seeing what the inputs and outputs are to really hone in on making it robust and making it able to properly handle different queries, different chats. So hopping over to the description, we can just do call this tool to create a Notion page using, we can hop back over and open our chat, and we'll just copy this Notion create page using this tool with the parameters. And this is where it comes into play on being explicit and remembering what kind of parameters you want to pass on, as well as what kind of parameters the tool is expecting. The parameters, parent underscore page, title, content, and I'm going to leave it at that. And we'll change this to execute tool, and we'll do from AI on this, so $ from AI tool underscore name. And then we can go ahead and let the model define this. And going forward, in some of my next videos, as I'm going to be using this a whole lot more, I'll go into a lot more detailed tool name and tool parameters to help really refine and boost some of the robustness of this MCP server. Change this name to Notion execute tools, and let's go ahead and try it out and see if it works. And hopping back over to Notion, so I'm going to be adding a page to this weekly AI tool roundup at the bottom here, just for testing purposes and see if we're successful in setting this up. So you see that there's no page here, and we'll run this workflow and check back. So, say open chat, we'll do create a new Notion page in the parent page weekly tool roundup with the title hello and content what is your name. Let's go ahead and check if this works. So you see we're getting an error here. Let's go ahead and let it run through to see what it actually is. Let's open the chat here. It says a new Notion page title hello, and we can see this here. Open this, see what it is. So it did create a page. Let's go ahead and see if it's actually in the, so there is a new page here, hello, with the content, what is your name? So it did work. Let's see what the error was. So run 2 of 2 worked. This is a great example of what I meant by the prompting and the explicitness that you're giving these models is going to be very important whenever using these MCP tools. So you can see that run number 2 actually worked. And if we check our Notion page, we can see that we did create a page here and the content is what is your name on the second try, but the first try did not work. And why was that? It's because if we look at the first, we can see that it tried to have the tool name be Notion execute tools. And we know, since we listed the tools, that Notion execute tools is not an actual tool name. And we see that the second run, it figured it out and it was Notion create page. Now, if you wanted to fix this and make sure that this wasn't a problem going forward, you'll need to add a prompt in here and give it all the tool names, or call this list tools first to be able to pass on the correct prompts or the correct tool usage. And so that's it for the Zapier MCP tool. I'll be going way more in depth and doing a whole lot more stuff in the future in a lot of my N8N tutorial videos. So if you like the content, like, subscribe, and want to see more of that, make sure you stay tuned for those future videos, as I think the Zapier MCP tool will be a complete game changer within N8N. as the main pain point with N8N and some of the other automation tools is really the connection problems and having to learn how to connect many different things. Zapier completely solves that problem with having in-app connections and making it super easy to just have a few clicks and be connected right away. So going down the list, the Claude MCP setup for our next tool, you'll need to have Claude Desktop installed as well as Node.js installed. And if you don't know if you have Node.js, you can go to your terminal, type in node -- version, and it will give you the node version that you're running. Or if it doesn't return anything, you'll know that you don't have it. You can install it from nodejs.org. So once you have Claude Desktop as well as Node.js installed, we can go ahead and hop over to these quick links. And this first one will be the model context protocol.io quick start for Claude Desktop users. And you'll see that it reiterates you have to have Claude Desktop. And this is for the file system MCP server. We're going to be going a step further and installing first an MCP installer, so it makes it 10 times easier to install things within Claude Desktop. So if you only want the file system MCP within Claude Desktop, you can follow these instructions right here. So hopping back to our instructions, first we're going to be installing this MCP installer, and I'll leave all the links that I'm using in this video in the description below. So this will just give a quick rundown and instructions on how to set this up. So once you have Claude Desktop installed, you can go to your Claude settings on Mac, or if you're on Windows, you'll have the settings in the top left here. Let's go to Claude settings, and you'll get to this window here, and you'll need to go to the developer settings. You see that I already have these three installed here, but we'll just go to edit config, which will be the same for you. And that will bring you to the Claude Desktop config.json file, and you'll need to open this with whatever editor that you like. I'm going to open it with Cursor, and once in Cursor, you'll see that I already have a few, but we can go ahead and delete these. Tab, and that'll set it up correctly. And I'll leave this code snippet to where you can just paste it really easily for yourself, but this will be the code that you'll need to input into your config file to set up this installer. So I'll go ahead and control save, and every change that you make within this config file for your Claude Desktop, you'll need to close the Claude Desktop and reopen it, have the changes implemented. So I'll go ahead and quit my desktop and then reopen, and we will see that now I have two MCP tools available. You can click this and you can see which tools you have available. So hopping back over to GitHub, now that we have this MCP installer, we'll be able to type in plain English within Claude Desktop to be able to install all the other MCPs that we want. And so you won't have to go to the config file. So now we can go to the regular account, and she also has a MCP YouTube server, which is the one that we'll be installing. And it gives instructions here, and you can just copy this and go to Claude and type in plain English, please install this MCP server, and paste that in there and send that, and it will ask to use the installer. You'll allow, and so you'll see that this MCP YouTube has been successfully installed. We can go over to the greatest YouTube channel in the world, which is this one, copy my most recent video, hop back over to Claude Desktop, and use the MCP server. So we can just do please summarize YouTube video and paste that link in there. So I forgot that we need to close and reopen. Like I said, see we have two MCPs available. We'll need to close this completely and reopen it. See, now that we have three tools, we'll be able to do this. So we can do please summarize this video, and we'll be able to send this, and now it will call the MCP tool. Allow once, and it gives an awesome description and quick insights about the video, and if you haven't watched it, I highly encourage it. So continuing with our week 1 roundup, we have the Sequential Thinking MCP, which will go to this link here, which is the Smithery AI website, which offers a ton of MCP servers, and there's more being added every single day. And I will advise, I think it's probably good practice to wait until an MCP server is actually highly adopted before using it. And you'll see this one has 410,000 monthly tool calls. So I'm fairly comfortable installing this one. And this will be a tool that I'm using with Cursor or any sort of editor. You see that there's Windsurf, Klein, there's also Claude as well. So to install this, you can do this one of two ways. For Cursor, you can either do it by npm, which is running in the terminal, or if you want to go into your actual MCP JSON file, you can do this and you'll copy this in. For now, I'm going to do the npm command, which I'll copy this, and I'm going to open Cursor with a completely blank project. So now I have Cursor open. They've made it very easy. You don't even have to go through the settings anymore. But just to show you the settings, go to Cursor settings, and you'll see that I have no MCPs currently installed. You can do global MCP install, which will give you the option to paste that JSON code in there, or you can simply go into the agent and please install this MCP server, and then paste your command in there. You can run this command, and you see that we have the sequential thinking, and you see that it is green. And we can test this by saying you create a landing page for a website, sequential thinking in the planning process. This is just a quick prompt to see if we actually have it working, and it should be calling this MCP server, and you'll see that it's calling MCP tool sequential thinking. You can run this tool, and it will continue going through a loop of sequential thinking and breaking down the problem step by step. And guys, that's it for today's video. I really hope you like these tools, and I hope you like, subscribe to stay up to date with this series that I'm going to be doing and releasing. And if you want to be more involved and suggest what you want to see in future videos, go ahead, join the community. The link will be in the description. And I will be posting all these instructions, including this Notion database, as well as a classroom full of the instructions for each weekly video for installation steps in the community as well. So until then, see you guys.